Hi again, this is part 3C of the Guide for Newbies. We're still looking at concepts before we start the clock. Maybe it's getting a bit frustrating that we haven't started, but I think it's worth looking at these before you get going, just so you can have something even to look at as you're waiting for events to unfold. So what we're going to look at now is money and taxation, and where that comes from, and how that interacts with opinions, and therefore things you should do or you could do to try and maximise your income. As we said in the previous video, the gold you have is up here, 41, and it's going up at 0.75 a month. And we discussed that if you click on our kingy boy, or sorry, Earl, stop calling him king, we have income of 9 a year, and that is the 0.75 a month, and that income is currently coming from two sources. So what we're going to have a quick discussion and a quick reminder of where this money is coming from. We did actually already look at this in the concept of stewardship, but we'll go over it again because the same concept applies. So we know that domain, as this is, means direct holding. In this case, it means Dublin. So he owns Dublin. If we click on that, it tells us that its current tax base is 4. We therefore, that 4 is what he's going to get. If we go back to his income though, if you remember, you then add a stewardship bonus on of 36%, means that he gets basically 136% of that 4. So he gets all of the 4 plus it ups to 36. That's his direct tax income, 5.44. So where else is he going to get income from? Well, he will also get income from his vassals, but this will be indirect income. And the way this works is kind of similar. If we go to the city tax and we look at the Mayor of Dublin, let's see what he does. Now, his little city is his little realm, and it works the same way as ours. So if you look at this, it says there's a base tax of 12.2, which is 12 because it's a city, and that's a lot higher. Cities generate a lot of tax, but they don't actually generate many troops, which we'll discuss in the next video. Plus he's also made an addition. He's built a palisade, which is a very tiny wall, I think, and as you can see there, tax income goes up slightly by 0.2, so therefore he's making 12.2 out of Dublin, and that's his holding. Okay, now if we click on the shield to represent the Dublin holding, we see our mayor down there, and then we see for him, his domain is that city. How's he earning his money? Well, he's getting 12.2 from that city, plus he gets a stewardship bonus because he equally appoints a steward that gives him an uplift. So anyway, he owns 14.4. Now, that's what he's earning directly, but he's one of our vassals, so we're going to tax him. And how do we tax him? Well, then we set the law. Now, ignore the top bit, this is the succession laws, we'll come to that, and these are the different laws that you set for the vessels, for the levies and for the tax. So for the moment, let's just concentrate on this. City taxation is set at normal, which means we're going to tax at 25%. We could up it to 35, we could even up it to 45, but you get negative opinions. But at the moment, it's 25%. So therefore, as we saw, he was making 14.4 per year from his holding. Okay, that's going to him, not to us, because he's the owner of that holding. But he does owe us 25% of that, and 25% of that is that. And as you can see, we earn 3.6 from the Mayor of Dublin because he's our vassal. He's a city vassal, and therefore he has to pay us 25% of his income. Okay, now he will pay us 25% of his income providing he has a positive opinion of us. If he has a negative opinion, then it will start to reduce the percentage that he pays the more negative it gets. So again, this is bringing in the concept that opinions matter. At the moment, if we go back to him and click on his shield there he is. He likes us, he's plus 30. He'll pay all the tax he's supposed to, which is currently 25%. So therefore, back to the county, we're getting direct tax there, which is the 4 plus our uplift for being stewards, and then we're getting 25% of what he manages to get out of his city. Then you come to the church, which is the final one. Now if you look at the church, that also generates tax as well. So you click on that, you see the tax income. In this case he gets tax because it's a temple, that's the standard rate. There's no upgrades yet, but if he was to add upgrades here, let's see if any of these, like a church village, his tax income will go up, but it hasn't at the moment. So he's earning 8. Click on his little shield and you get his little yearly profit and loss account, and it's a similar thing. You check in his domain income, which is the church for him. He's earning the 8, plus he's getting a bonus of stewardship, because again he also has stewardship skills as well. He has 6, plus he has his own counsellor. We can't see who that is, but he has his own counsellor who he's appointed to give him a total state stewardship of 12, and that gives him an uplift to 9.12. And as I said previously, there is a formula for how you work that 14% out, and I'll tell you that later. It's not very complicated, but I don't want to confuse you. So we have Mr. Churchman is earning 9.12. Let's go to the laws. Church tax is at 35%. We're going to tax this bloke 35%. So you go back to here, our profit and loss. As you look at it, we saw our income, we saw the tax we got off the mayor, but church income is zip, and we've just seen that this bishop is earning income from his holding, from his domain, and we've set a law of 35%. So why is this bloke not paying us any of the money? And this is where opinion comes into it. If we go to the main screen and check on your vassals, here's the mayor and here's his 3.6. It's green, he's paying us it. Here's the bishop, but it's red. You see his yearly income of 9.1. Again, sorry for the clicking, but there it is, that's what he's got. Why is he not paying any for us? And the simple reason is, when it comes to the bishop, his opinion matters, but it's not just his opinion of us, it's opinion of us versus his opinion of the Pope. The Pope at the moment is Alexander II. He loves the Pope more than he loves us. He therefore ain't going to pay us. What he's actually doing is he's paying that 35% to the Pope as a tithe. So you have a direct impact there of these opinions. So what you need to try and do is get the opinion of this bishop up, and we'll do that shortly. There is a separate screen which kind of represents this anyway, which is here, religion, and this shows you all of your bishops. And here he is again. Here's his opinion of the Pope, which is this geezer, and here's his opinion of us, and as you see, that's bigger than that. Hence, when you come back here, that's red. It's basically saying, I ain't going to pay you, I'll pay the Pope because I like the Pope. You're not as good as the Pope. So what you're going to do about that? Well, this is where you start to get into trying to get your opinions up. And let's give an example of how you might do that. And one way you could do that is by granting an honorary title to this bloke, and we'll show you the effect. So on diplomacy, you go here and you have award honorary title. Now when you award an honorary title, you have a few titles in your hands that you can give out to people. It's not unlimited, and you can only give people one each, but these are sort of traditional titles that have been given out in the past by rulers. So you have a master of the horse, and as you see here, what it does is it adds the opinion to the plus 10. So let's give this guy the cupbearer, and as you see, it gives you, there's one available, and it gives you a plus 15 opinion. So note here, his opinion of us is 30. We give him the cupbearer, and his opinion jumps to 45. Again, why does it jump to 45? Well, if you look at the fourth one down, it's now added 15 for cupbearer. So what does that do here? Well, as you can see, the 45 is now bigger than 37, so he should start paying us. Now, but what actually happens is it takes a while to kick in. So what we're going to do is unpause and run forward about a month, and it should all start to kick in. Oh, it's done it already. There you go. So let's pause it. There seems to be a lag sometimes with when these financial numbers update. So there you go. We've increased this bloke's opinion. He now likes us more than he likes the Pope. So now he's going to give us tax. If we go to our little profit and loss, this is the one that takes time to update. So let this run another month or so. There we go. Suddenly 3.19 tax is coming in. We knew before we had that 3.6. Our income was 9, it's now 12.2 because of that extra 3, and that means our monthly balance is now 1.02. So as you can see, the taxation is coming directly to us from that, and indirectly by taxing the mayor and the bishop, and in both cases, although in different ways, the opinions of those people matter hugely to us. You can see where it's green, it means that they're paying. If we were to get this bloke down below 30, it would probably go red and it would reduce it. But here it's all nice, it's all green, and so periodically you need to keep checking this. Now what could change in this situation, which is quite simple at the moment, but what could change, because it's very dynamic, is that this could go down for you if you get some worse traits like lustful, but at the same time this can change as well for the Pope. Say the Pope dies and he's replaced by a much better one. Let's have a look at this Pope. He's got loads and loads of traits, most of which are pretty good, but he does have a few weird ones. He has what's that one? He has zealous. If we go back to what our bishop thought of the Pope, he quite likes zealous there. Well, I suppose he would. If you're zealous, you're going to be religious. But cynical versus zealous doesn't work. Now, what does that mean? Well, it probably means that our guy is a cynic. Let's have a look. There he is. Our guy's a cynic. The Pope is zealous. Those two are clashing. So therefore, this guy's got a slight negative opinion. So this is where it all starts to come back in with these traits. They don't just directly affect the skills. They affect people's opinions of each other. So what could happen is, at the moment, this looks good for us. Tax-wise, he likes us more than the Pope. What happens if a new Pope comes in and he's got much better traits? This might jump to 60 for the new Pope. Say he dies, new one comes in, suddenly income from bishop goes to him, and that disappears. So you have to be aware of that, and you have to keep looking at this screen, particularly if you want to look at that, to make sure that all your bishops are paying money to you and not to the Pope. So therefore, what can you do to increase the tax income? Well, the obvious thing in your holding is build stuff, because a lot of these will increase tax income, but again, it's chicken and egg. You need the money to do it and it takes time, but ultimately you should try and build some stuff. Other things you can do is your councillors. You're picking your councillors at the moment. The steward, one of the jobs he does is he collects tax. And let's make him do this. He's going to collect tax somewhere in Dublin. So we'll click him there. Okay. Now let's click on Dublin. If you remember last time we had a tax base of 4. That's now jumped up. And why? Because we've now sent our steward to directly influence the tax collecting there. So that goes up, which means our share goes up as well. So that's one direct thing you can do. If you have a poor opinion, or your bishop has a poor opinion, then you could send the court chaplain to improve religious relations, and you just take him there and you dump him there, and he'll talk to your errant bishop who doesn't like you and try and persuade him either that you're great or that the Pope's a wanker, and then you'll get a bonus in the relationship between your opinion, his opinion of you, and his opinion of the Pope. So that's another way that you can do to get your tax up. That's kind of it on the income side of things. That was a bit detailed and a bit anal and probably a bit boring, but again, I found it quite annoying when I first started this game that I was earning income, but I didn't quite have a Scoobies about where it was coming from. Hence, I thought I'd do this just to point out the basics of it. It's obviously a lot more involved. There is some more stuff that you need to know about it, but that's the general basics of where your income's coming from. It's coming directly from your holdings, and then indirectly from your vassals. Clearly, the more holdings you have as you acquire, these numbers will then go up. I guess that's kind of it on the taxation for the moment. I'm going to look at the military side next, and then we will move more towards actually starting the game proper. So I'll see you in the next one, hopefully.